Well, good afternoon. This is Pastor Troy, and it's good to have you back with us. Good to be back with you, as a matter of fact. It's been a few days, and on the last video I talked about my Enneagram number type being a 9, peacekeeper. And today I'd like to share a little bit about how we react in conflict and what triggers conflict and how 9s desire to resolve conflict, and what generally happens when 9s are not able to resolve conflict. So I want to deal with this subject. 9s are very keenly aware of their environment when it comes to conflict. We're hyper vigilant about conflict. I mean, when we sense it, we see it, we take things very seriously in the moment. We want to resolve it. If we are to blame for the conflict, we will take that responsibility and we will grab a hold of it, process it, do our best to fix it. However, when we are in conflict, and obviously in most conflicts, it takes two people or two parties or two factions to create the conflict. It's usually never just one-sided. However, 9s are so adverse, me personally as an INFJ and a 9, so adverse to conflict. Many times I will absorb not only my own fault in the conflict, but I will also try to absorb the fault and blame of the other person and add that to myself to mitigate the damage or the feelings or the hurt of the other person, to try to mitigate their load, that they don't have to carry too much. Because we don't want, we just want calm. And so we'll take our load, and many times we'll take their load. What ends up happening over time, now this works temporarily. Here comes a big heavy rain, so I might get interrupted by the rain. What happens long term is that as a 9 myself, I will be the one carrying all this load. I look at the other person who's very hesitant to carry anything. I mean, as soon as you say, well, here's maybe the part that you played in it, they're not going to listen. I'm usually the one that says, I know what I done. And I'm quick to say, this is what I did, and this is what I should have done differently. As a 9, I'm quick to understand where I fail in any conversation, any relationship, any friendship, any environment. What usually ends up happening is the other person is not aware of their actions. They don't bring their actions to the table the same way a 9 would. They try to avoid their responsibility. They try to make it all about the 9, because the 9 is easy. Listen, we are very easy to pile things on. We are heavy lifters. Okay? 9s are heavy lifters. We can carry a lot. Now, we're not Samson. We're not superhuman, but we can carry our weight, and many times we can carry the weight of the other person for a while. Now, over time, when we see that the other person doesn't want to carry their weight, refuses to see their self, and we might overlook that a few times. Let that slide. Over time, resentment grows. Because you got to understand. You say, why is there resentment? Well, there begins to be resentment because we're carrying all these boxes, all this responsibility. And we know the only way to keep this friendship or this work situation or whatever environment we find ourselves in, the only way to make it work is I've got to do all this lifting. I got to do it myself, because they've got a million reasons why they can't carry even the slightest little box. Okay, they just, they say they will, but as soon as you really make them carry that weight, it's, they will. They can't. So we carry. We say, well, give me the box, I'll carry it. So we carry that box too. Now you got to understand, we're like we're like the waiter that's, waiting on tables, and we got all this food pile on this plate. And, the last thing we want to hear is, here's some more food, here's something else you need to carry. Okay, we've carried and carried and carried and carried. So what ends up happening over time, we begin to look for solutions that try to mitigate the responsibility of both parties. We try to look for solutions that are going to not only ease the burden on me or as a 9, but also continue to mitigate the liability and responsibility of the other person. What ends up happening is they're not satisfied with that. They think you're superhuman, you're a 9. You can handle anything. So when you're begging them, look, I can't, and they see you're about to the point where it's going to collapse. Like, I'm holding all of this up, and I can't hold it up indefinitely. So, we give them clues, we give them warnings that we're about to collapse. We can't handle any more weight. They know that. They sense that. And so they kind of come around like they're going to pretend like maybe they're going to be sweet. They're going to maybe do different, or they're going to maybe take a little bit of your load for you, or maybe not add any more to you. But then all of a sudden, this clicks in their mind, and they say to themselves, but he's a 9. He can take it. He can handle it. And so, it's all your fault, and here's what you did, and here's what you should have done, and you shouldn't have said it. And we're sitting there like, okay, I can't take any more. And we fall over and collapse. Everything we held is now on the floor. Everything we were holding to keep it alive literally collapses onto the floor. It's all gone. It's no longer in our hands. And we walk away. And we literally, because we had no choice, everything was so heavy to where we finally had to say enough. I've had to do this pastoring, because as a pastor, many times congregations will say it's all the pastor's fault. And I'll take it. I can take it for a year, 2 years, 3 years. And there'll come a time as a pastor, if the congregation, and you clearly see they have problems and they have issues, and when you address those issues, it's no. It's your fault, pastor, that we are this way. It's your fault. It's your reactions to our toxicity that is causing the problem. It's always our reactions to them pushing our buttons. They push. They load us down. We are literally suffocating under the weight of all the responsibility they want our shoulders to bear. And they'll brag on, boy, you're doing a good job. You're carrying this load, and I'm so proud of you. I just love you because you carry all this on your shoulders. Boy, don't you have big shoulders? You're strong. You can take it. I just love you for that. Well, who wouldn't? What are you carrying? Nothing. Don't expect me to carry anything. I'm too good for that. I'm perfect. I'm great. Everything's fine on my end. It's always you, preacher. It's always your fault, Brother Troy, that everything's working out the way it is. And if you would just not react, if you would just take more packages and don't go, oh, it's heavy. You see, I'm not allowed to grunt. I'm not allowed to say it's heavy, because the moment I do, they realize, oh no, I can't. I'm going to have to be careful. I can't pack any more on him. He can't handle it anymore. Well, that's a fact. I can. 9s cannot take everything. We're not superhuman. And if people around us think that they can get by with just unlimitedly unloading themselves and our own faults on us, if they're not willing to forgive us, they'll say, I forgive you, but here's your load. I forgive you. They're not willing to take that load off of you. They forgive you and then pack it on you. That's not forgiveness. I don't know what, that's charades. I don't know what that is. But when I forgive somebody, I'm telling you, look, I have this package that I could lay on your lap. I could make you bear it. I could make you own it. But I forgive you, and I'm not going to let you own it. In fact, I'm going to take that package. And true forgiveness, you 9s, listen to me. What we usually do is we forgive, and then we absorb the package and we take it on ourselves. True forgiveness would be saying, okay, I'm going to use this as an example. This is on the porch. Okay, this is your part of the deal. But rather than me just saying, okay, it's mine, it's my fault. And that's what we nines normally do. And that's what makes our weight so heavy. Because we take the blame, we take the fault of the other person, and we absorb it ourselves, and we say, okay, I'm going to carry this. And here's my problem. I'm going to carry this. And, I'm going to carry this. And after a while, we're carrying our weight, their weight, and everybody else's weight. And we collapse. We fall. And everything goes to the floor. But what's best to do is, if this is their part, when we forgive, instead of adding it to our other thing, we need to just say, I forgive, but then lay that down. I forgive you, but I'm not going to take responsibility for that. I'll lay it aside. I'm not going to carry the weight of that burden. It's not my fault. Your reaction to it is your reaction. It's not my fault. This is where we nines get in trouble, because we carry their problem and ours. They love that. Oh, they love that. But then after a while, they think you'll just keep doing that, and you'll keep doing that, and you'll keep doing that. And they'll love you as long as you take all the blame and the responsibility. But when you can no longer do it, they no longer love you. When they find that you're no longer that source where they can ground all of their, look, people love you to be the grounding rod, but it's, for the good times and for the bad times. A grounding rod takes energy in from another person. Nines are extremely grounded in reality. We're grounded in the present. We're grounded in truth and authenticity. There's a lot of people that claim to have authenticity. They love it. They love it in you, but they don't like it in themselves. They love authenticity out in the outer world, but when they look inwardly, they don't like it. There's a lot of people that claim to love authenticity, but that's not. They do in you, of course. Anybody would. So we become that grounding. The problem with that is, not only are we grounded with people in good times, but then we're grounded with the negative energy that they have to discharge also goes through us. And we also have to carry that. So it's not good to be grounded. When somebody uses you as a grounding, be careful, because you're going to get not only the positive, you're going to get the negative. You're going to get all the bad energy as well poured into your grounding, and you don't want that. So I'm not interested in being somebody's grounding rod. I want to be real. And I want them. The only way anybody, any relationship, any dynamic can work is where there's equal give and take, where there's equal responsibility, where there's equal honesty, where there's equal carrying of the load. When it's one person carrying the load, they give up. They no longer have a desire to carry it. And it explains a lot in a lot of people's dynamics in their relationships with other people. Because as long as all that's dumped on one person, that person can't handle it all. And nines, well, listen, folks, you that are nines understand. We're often put in this position. It's not like a one-time rodeo. I've been put in this position over and over and over again. Carry the load, preacher. Carry the weight. Take all the blame. Take all the responsibility. We know you can do it. You've got big shoulders. You're a heavy lifter. Nines, you are a heavy lifter. But you cannot do the impossible. So when you see a nine collapse, don't blame him. If you weren't willing to help him with the load, then you should blame yourself. And he can't pick up where he left off. A lot of people say, well, why don't he just come back and pick up where he left off? Why can't he? Because to come back, I have to pick up all this. I got to pick up all this stuff again, carry all that, and in order to gain anywhere, go anywhere, I have to also get more. Probably that bushel there. You're going to add that to it also. No. it's over. You can't keep piling on and then expect the 9 to just say, well, yeah, okay, I'm sorry. And a lot of times 9s, what we'll do is we'll go back into a situation and we'll say, okay, I'm sorry again. We'll pick up all that stuff that we were carrying because we think, okay, I can do this. I'm a big boy. I can handle it. And we'll pick up all those items. We'll carry them a little farther down the road. And then they start piling more on us. We start trying to carry that too. Eventually, we come to the place in our life where we can't take another box. We can't even, a feather's too much. It's just, there's a breaking point. And when we reach that, that's when we engage in what's known as a door slam. And when we slam the door, all the boxes go on the ground with it because we're just done. And there's a sense of liberty. It's like, I'm free. I don't have to worry about the boxes anymore. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. There's a sense of relief because I can't carry all that weight anymore. And if people aren't going to share the responsibility with us, let them go. Let them carry their own baggage because I can't carry all mine and theirs too. And you can't either. I love all of you. I appreciate your time. And I hope this resonates with some of you 9s and especially some of you INFJs that are dealing with this in your life because you can't handle it all. God didn't make you to be the one to always be responsible for everyone else and for how they feel and how they do. We forgive. We're the biggest forgivers on the planet. You'll never find a better person than a 9 because we'll give, we'll forgive, and we'll carry. But we won't do it to the detriment of our own health and our own sanity. Because at the end of the day, I want to sleep at night and I want to have my own rational mind. I love all of you. God bless you. Bye-bye.